Hey developers, today we're going to look at two Vue.js component libraries. We're going to look at Nuxt, and we're going to see what Nuxt allows us to do out of the box. So make sure you stay all the way to the end and learn all about it. And as always, of course, my name is Erik. I'm a full-stack software developer. I'm also the author of the Vuejs in Action book, and I'm a big fan of Nuxt and Vue and Angular and React and all the frameworks out there. But today we are going to talk about Vue UI component frameworks. Now, you guys love me these videos because every time I do one, people really enjoy them, and so I will continue to do them as long as you guys keep watching. I did a quick poll the other day of what technologies you guys wanted to see, and lo and behold, the fifth one in the option, Nuxt.Js Vue component libraries look through, was the highest out of all of them. So I wanted to show you guys more of what Nuxt.Js offers versus just Vue out of the box, but I thought that wouldn't be very interesting. So I thought maybe on top of that, I will install one of the defaults, these two defaults, Buefy, and then I'll do Ant design of Vue, and we'll just kind of take a look at what they offer, and I'll give you my analysis. So I think that'll be a little bit more interesting than me just showing you what's offered for Nuxt. Okay, so let's begin. I went ahead and just created an empty project here, nothing inside of it. And if you guys are familiar with, to start an app using Nuxt, we'll use npx, and then we'll type in create Nuxt app, and then the name of the app. So we're just going to call it Vue UI, or I guess we call it Nuxt UI YouTube. And now what it's going to do, it's going to run some commands and download basically a template and ask us some questions that we can go through to create our Nuxt app. And I have Node installed, obviously. I think I'm using version 12 if you are following along at home, so make sure you have version 12 or later installed. So it's going to give us a little menu here. First thing is asking for the project name. So, I don't know, Nuxt UI. Project description, I'm just going to leave it the default. My name is Erik. And I use NPM. Of course, Yarn works just as well. I know some Yarn fans out there that do not like NPM. So this is the menu I wanted to show you guys. This is the Choose UI framework. And what I like about this is it has all these UI frameworks kind of ready to go out of the box. And we've talked a lot about these when I've done some of my reviews in my previous YouTube videos. For example, we've definitely talked a lot about Vuetify, and I did a Tailwind CSS one earlier, a few weeks ago. I've done one on Bootstrap, but I haven't touched a lot of these other ones. So maybe in a future video, I'll look at iView or Tachyons, but I think for now, we're going to look at Buefy. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Buefy? Buefy? I'm going to call it Buefy. So I'm going to hit enter there. I'm not going to hear about any server-side framework. Yeah, I don't need the Axios or any of this other stuff. And yeah, I'm just going to hit enter here. We're not going to have a testing framework, and we're going to use a universal SSR mode, and we'll hit default there. So this will go ahead and install everything we need to get started. Okay, cool. So it looks like it downloaded everything. I'll just go ahead and change directories to it. npm run start. And, oh, actually, npm run dev. I don't want to build it first. Okay, here's my Nuxt.js. It's running. And what I want to do now is I'll look at Buefy, and actually, if you look in the documentation, it tells you pronounce it Buefy. It's a user interface component library made up of two fresh but very well-known frameworks, Vuejs and Bulma. I've never used Bulma. I haven't even heard of it until just recently, so I'm really interested to jump in here and see how well it works. And yeah, I'm interested to see it going. All right, so I'm up and running. I'm on localhost 3000, so I'll just make sure I can open that on my app here. Cool. So here it is pre-installed with already some information on the theme. You see, let's take a look at the GitHub. I always like looking at the GitHub in some of these. It has over, look, 8,800 stars, or 6,900 stars, used by over 8,800. It has a bunch of watches. I mean, definitely active community. Looks like it's pretty well known since it's based on Bulma. So that's always good to see. Let's take a look at what we get out of the box from Nuxt. So here is our Nuxt UI YouTube. And if we look at pages, our index. See, we can go, and don't worry about that warning there. So I have cards here, free GitHub circle, built with Vue.js. Looks pretty simple so far. They have this inspire. Let's take a look at the components. Here's the card component, and inside there is this header. And I think a lot of Bulma is CSS. Of course, we have B icons, so that must be a Bulma icon. Here's the logo page. We have an SVG logo. That's as we expect it to be. So, you know, it adds all this up front as soon as you start your Nuxt app, which is kind of good to kind of get a quick idea of what it's doing. But let's dive in ourselves. And we're going to delete everything in this section here, because we don't care about this card component. And we'll take a look at what it looks like now. That's what it looks like, this home and inspire. And if we kind of dig a little deeper, we have a layout here, and the default layout has our nav bar, and it just has links to the different sections. Okay, here's a V4 of our different items, and we have our Nuxt links to the two of them in there. I don't know. Let's just delete everything inside the nav so we can play around with it. There was a side there. Interesting. And I think we just need to delete this. Okay. Okay, we got a big empty page here. We have our nav bar. Has shadow is primary. And Arial main navigation. So we'll go back to the index.view. And let's take a look at what we can do here. So it recommends, if you don't, obviously not installing it directly from Nuxt, we can use these icons that it recommends, and then you can install it through npm install Buefy, so that seems to work great. It also adds this to the main file. So let's take a look at actually in Nuxt, it will probably be in our Nuxt config. Yep, we have this Nuxt.Buefy module. And let's see, do they have a Nuxt? Yeah, here's the Nuxt section. All they did is you added is the Nuxt module right here. So that's as much as you do it after you do the Nuxt.Buefy install. So that's pretty easy. So if you're doing it from scratch, that's what I would do. So layout and elements. So we have a container. So it looks like it all links back to the official Bulma documentation. And then from the container, you have a navbar, hero, section footer. Let's see if we can kind of play around and add something. Here's the grid system. The power flexbox. So it just looks like it's based on flexbox. Here's the basics of it, and we use this div class equals columns. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. We'll go back to our index. Put it inside our section. Why not? All right, so here's our columns, and you just put this div class equal columns. So it kind of reminds me of Tailwind CSS, where we have these utility functions that we can just add anywhere. If we look at our Nuxt UI, yeah, here's first column, second column, third, fourth, as we expected. So it looks like you add a columns container and as many column contents as you want. So you just have, as long as you put it inside this column container, then you can put as many column singular inside columns. So that's how you do that. It's always good to learn the basics of how to start with the layout there. Let's look at some buttons. How do you get the buttons working? So button class equals button. So that's easy enough. Let's add a button here. Let's see if it works. Yeah, there's a simple button. And what other utility classes can we add on here for our buttons? That's a simple button. We can add colors to it. So like is white, is light, is dark. sometimes when I don't know all these utility classes, what I like to do is inside Chrome, I'll click on the button here. I'll click the little CLS button, and then I'll just type, like, I'll try to see what kind of things are in here. Like, is desktop, what does all these do? It said right here that we can do is white, is light, is dark. So is white. So is dark, danger. You can see it's changing the color. Here's dark, is black, is blue. There's no is blue, but is round. I guess you could put is rounded. That'll make it rounded for you. This has all these utility functions. What other colors do we have? Oh, white, light, dark, black text. And you can define them using $ colors in your Sass map. You have primary link info success, so you can have is primary. What it is primary looks like is primary. Okay, so you can make it purple. Is alert. It looks like it's all is something. Is link, is info success, warning, or danger. So is danger. It makes it red. All right. I mean, it seems like it's pretty simple. You just have to know all these different utility classes to understand and what to do. Oh, there's an is primary, and then you can make it a little bit lighter. So I could do is primary, and then make is light. So I guess I can add two different ones on there. Oh, which didn't make it. I guess it made it maybe a little bit lighter. I don't know. Button is primary. How about is link is light? What does that look like? I don't know. I don't see it too. I guess it might be a little bit more transparent. Can't really see, but all right. So that's enough for buttons. Oh, you can make it different sizes. You can use is normal, is large. So I guess if we wanted to make this is large, yep, you can see it's very big now. So that makes it a lot easier to do things. Let's keep looking around here. We saw buttons, nav bars. So this is the core built-in stuff with Bulma. But what about the stuff built in with the Buefy part of it? So UI components. So here we show code here. Okay, so here we can use B button, and that will create our button for us. So B button, and then we can create like a method here, methods. And make sure we end it here, and then inside here we can do a click me method, and I'll put alert box hello. And now we have our click me, says hello. And now I'm sure we can add the same sort of classes we wanted to over here. We can do class is primary, is danger. So now it's red. So yeah, that seems to be working as expected. Yeah, so you just do this B dash button, and then, oh, you can do this .buefy notification. Let's see what happens. Let's take a what the notifications look like. So instead of doing the hello here, so it looks like once you install Buefy, it has this $Buefy that you can use, and it probably has different properties. So what happens when we click it now? Okay, so now we get a little box here, this little notification box. It's nice. Let's go back here. Yeah, here's notification boxes. We can have types and states. You just use all those utility classes, sizes, icons. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's look at a couple of more. It's nice. It has autocomplete checkboxes. What's the autocomplete like? Oh, so you can have it linked to like an array and have it autocomplete for you. That's kind of neat. So it'll just navigate. It'll return the data object, and it'll, depending on what you're typing, it will narrow down the list for you, which is nice. And you can probably, I'm assuming you can also hook that into like a data call to your back end, which would be nice. Let's look at checkboxes. Oh, the checkboxes look nice. You can use class field. Let's see here. You just use this div class equals field, and then you put b checkbox. So let's just look at b checkbox here and see what it looks like. Okay, so here's the checkbox. You can see, looks like a nice looking checkbox. You have sliders, and then of course there's a lot of stuff here. There's icon, a whole icon library. I think, let's see if this icons works, and if we have to install anything. I think it comes out of the box and works. So this is icon is small account icon. Cool. Yeah. So there's the account icon. So all our icons are working. Don't have to install Font Awesome or anything. It tags, inputs, rate switches. I would say this looks like a non-material design framework. If you look at Bulma, I tried to look through it to see if it mentioned material design anywhere. I didn't see it anywhere. So I think if you're liking a framework that's non-material design, I think Bulma looks pretty good. I'm not going to have time to go through all these, but obviously here's Max, here's inputs, here's sliders. Every one has a framework. Ooh, this modal, you can do a full-size one. Every framework has a modal component. That looks nice. Looks like if you want to, you just use b-modal as your component, and then you can pass stuff into it. Looks like you could put button as primary, launch. Yeah, you just do is component modal active equals true, and inside your data you have it set as false, and then inside the modal card body, it's somehow, it looks like you actually do a const. Your modal form is in this modal form right here, and then you link to it right here. It's very interesting. Now, in active sync is component modal active right here. So when this is true, the b modal opens. This has pagination, which looks great. Tags, toast options. If you don't know, that's like these little things at the bottom. These little pop-ups. I mean, so far looking at all this, you could do, this.buefy toast open to do it. I mean, so far, this all looks pretty nice and easy to use. I'm really impressed. I definitely think that this gives Vuetify a run for its money, and I like the website, how clean it is. It doesn't look like there's a ton of promotion of paid services or anything like that, which is okay, but it looks like very clean. I'm sure the Bulma site has more. It looks like you can get v-validation if you want to do validation. Import format cleave.js. I don't even know what that is. Form input text while you type. That might be good for a different video. And they have sortable.js. So it looks like you can grab extensions and put it in it. And then some Expo stuff. All right, so that's enough for Buefy. If you guys really like this, I can do a much more in-depth video on this, maybe create a little app. But for now, we're just going to stop and we're going to move on and look at Ant. Okay, so let's get started with AMP. So I'm gonna use Nuxt again, and I'm gonna create a brand new app doing npx create Nuxt app, YouTube Ant component, and it's gonna ask me the same questions it did before. Hey, and if you guys have made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Make sure you click that like button or thumbs up button, and if you don't like this, click that thumbs down button. I don't care, but just let me know and leave a comment below of what framework you guys want to see me do in the future, which ones you want me to jump in even further. That really helps me as I do these videos. Okay, so author name, that's me. I'm using npm, and I'm going to use Ant Design View. I've never used this before. I'm going to just spitball this. I don't even know anything about this framework, but I'm going to learn along with you, and I'm going to show you just the basics of getting started. Okay, it's done, so let's change. We're going to do npm run dev. That should open our development environment, localhost 3000, and let's see what it looks like once it's done loading here. Okay, here it is. It's still loading. Cool. YouTube Ant component. So nothing different from the starter project when we chose Ant. It didn't look any different here. But let's take a look at the directories. So if we open up here, I'll go ahead and close the Nuxt UI component. You'll open the YouTube Ant component. We can see if we go to the plugins, now we have this ant-d-ui.js, which looks like it's the plugin for it. And I bet you in the Nuxt config, yep, here's the plugins, and that's how it gets initialized. Since I don't see anything really different here, I'm going to just delete everything in our pages here and go to our layout, which is our default in our YouTube Ant. And yep, nothing special here. Here's our components. We have our logo. I'm just going to delete. Well, we can leave the logo. That's fine. So here's nothing is on the page now. So let's see if we can start playing around with this. So it looks like Ant is they call it an Ant design specification. We developed a Vue UI library, Ant-D, that contains a high set of high-quality components and demos for building rich, interactive user interfaces. So it has an enterprise class UI design language for web applications, a set of high-quality Vue components out of the box, and has shared an Ant design of React design resources. So I guess there is this Ant design, which is I guess it's like a sort of like a material design type framework. It's a design system that values nature and determinacy for better user experience. So it's definitely focused on user experience. So if you have used this in the past with React or anything else, then obviously this would be a good Vue component framework to pick up, especially if you're coming from the React world. I have not used it at all, but I thought let's take a look at what it offers. So first, if you're wanting to install it and you already have Nuxt, it doesn't have a section on it in here. So to get started, all you need to do is do this yarn add ant-design-vue, and then make sure you add it as a plugin, which this is what it did here, this ant-d file. And then you can just add that inside the plugins inside Nuxt, and it voila, it works for you. Now you can customize the theme. Looks like you can, just like many of these others, I didn't mention this in the Buefy, but you can do something similar where you can take the Sass variables and change them. So if you didn't like the primary color, you can change it to a different color. And this seems the same way. You can go and change the primary color or the warning colors, and you can do it inside the Webpack config file, or it looks like you can also do it in the build utils.js file. So if you need to do some customization, that's where you'd want to do it. I'm not going to look at that today, do any customization, so I'm just going to jump in to take a look at it. It looks like it has a layout. We'll get to that in a second. But component registration. So it looks like we need to do component registration. So we have vue.use ant-d, but if we want to use this one, we'll have to add this here. So I don't know. We'll add it to there. And now let's see if one of these buttons works. So to get started here, we have some examples, a dashed link, and hopefully we have code, which I am looking for. Okay, here it is. So let me just grab this, and then we'll take a look at it. So we'll go over to the index, and we'll add it in here, and let's see if it works. Cool, so here's our different buttons. So you could take a look at the way that you do a dash button, and then you could do types, and the either type is primary dash, so we're not using CSS utility classes, we're actually using something called type. We can also, looks like a config provider, auto insert space in between button. So I guess you could do certain spaces. And then looks like, yeah, some Chinese symbols here and link. So the way it works in Ant is you use this a dash button and then the different types for either default, dash, danger, or link. And then you can see here, you can do button groups where you can do a dash button dash group. and then a dash button. It looks like it just kind of pushes them together and rounds the corners, which is fine. You can also make them disabled, which looks gray, just using obviously disabled. And you can do it with icons as well. And to do with icons, you use this a dash icon. So let's take a look at that and take a look at this button group. Let's see what it looks like. All right, yeah, here's our button group. It put them together right next to each other and rounded the corners. Obviously, you can do all this just CSS yourself, but it's nice it has this out of the box. Yeah, use icons, use a dash icon. Yep. Oh, it looks like all these different icons, lots of different ones here. I don't know if I was going to use an icon library, I might just grab Font Awesome, but it's cool. It comes with one built in. Grid, you know, I'm never really impressed with these grid systems. If I really want to use a grid, I'll just use Flex or something else. You know, I don't think or use Tailwind. I don't know if I would ever use one of these, but it's good. It offers it, which I guess is fine. I'm not gonna even bother looking at this. Looks like they have another 12 column layout. Yeah, all these all have the same 12 column layout. This is new. Affix, make an element stick to viewport. Huh. Oh yeah. So that's cool. It kind of sticks to the viewport. Looks like you can do a dash affix, and you can set an offset top, and you can put like how many, I guess, pixels from the top it is. And so in this case, this you put a click on it. What does that do when you click on it? Oh, it moves it a little bit down. So it just adds plus 10, so 10 pixels, and keeps moving it down. That's kind of funny. You can actually fix it to the bottom. That's kind of neat. Breadcrumbs, we've seen a lot of different places. So just uses simple slashes. Looks as pagination, data entry. So you got to have forms. I don't wonder if it has any form validation stuff in here. I don't think it does. So it has select drop down. Let's see what the selects look like. All right, pretty basic. I can even have like a spinner there. Data display. So we got badges, avatars, you know, very simple stuff you've seen all over. Let's take a look at badge. Oh yeah, little badges here. You could do it through a dash badge. Let's just throw that in here. See if we can do it. Yep, here's the little red badges. Look fine to me. All right, let's look at one more thing. Modals. Can't go wrong with modals. All right, so this looks really, really similar to many of the other modals. I mean, they all look the same after a while. And so how do you do this? A dash modal, title visible, okay, confirm. This looks fairly simple out of the box here. And you just put the modal text, whatever you want inside of it. Kind of like this better than Buefy for a second there. It looked a little more difficult. All right, so that's it today. I just want to kind of show you a couple more examples you may not even heard of Vue component libraries and see what it is. Obviously, these are all really simple to add to your projects. If you use the Nuxt add command. By the way, this will work exactly the same on Vue. You don't have to use Nuxt. That was just an example. But I want to hear what you guys think between Ant and Buefy. I think looking at both of these, because Buefy has Bulma backed on it, and it looked like it was a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more slick, I would definitely look at Buefy over Ant. But I haven't deep dived into either one of these, so if you have, I'd love to hear your comments. Leave a comment below. I really appreciate it. Thanks.